This is an argument in which we can't fully justify a right or wrong. Based on the theory presented, Brian Thompson is indeed a victim, but when judged in the totality of things, he becomes a representative of this company that seems to be doing evil things. So then you have the person, the killer, taking the law into their own hands. And this is symbolic of Capricorn being 12 places from Aquarius. What happens when the societal structure or the law doesn't work? What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Nalo Kicking Knowledge. Today, we'll be discussing the cold hard truths about the case against LUIGI Mangione, possibly killing the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson. So let's get into it. A few weeks ago, the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, was gunned down in the wee hours of the morning in New York City. After investigation, checking footage, investigators have linked LUIGI Mangione to this crime and have indicted him on murder charges and essentially a terroristic act, that the intent behind this was a terroristic act. What I want to do here is look at what this implies for our society and the overall reaction so far, which is very, very interesting. We, of course, here are in the age of Aquarius. Pluto is in Aquarius, will be here for the next 20 years. This means Aquarius themes will permeate the collective. One of the major themes connected to Aquarius is that of rebellion. This can be personal rebellion or societal rebellion. This situation is a perfect illustration of a personal rebellion that can possibly lead to an overall societal rebellion. So when we examine the details of this case, we first ask ourselves, why was Brian Thompson murdered? And of course, he is the CEO of this company. And from my vantage point, this is not a personal attack on Brian or something that Brian personally did, but rather an attack on the company, which is United Healthcare, and Brian Thompson being essentially their leader. So with this said, we have to ask ourselves, well, what is United doing out here that's rubbing people the wrong way? And from what I gather, there are millions of people who have different health needs. And it's been said that these insurance companies have a way of not paying people the claims that they should pay them, and in essentially waiting for the person to pass away and then collecting the money for themselves. And if you've lived long enough in life, every industry has some type of underhanded dealings that play out that way. Like, it's legally illegal, okay? And I think this has been known for years. In fact, part of what has given everyone the understanding of the intent behind this is on the bullet, there was a message engraved on the bullet that killed the CEO that lends itself to a book that speaks about the ill wills of these insurance companies. So we have a symbolic killing, right? Not just something random here, but something that was contemplated and from the looks of it has deep intent. Then when we get to the suspect, he is someone who was personally that seems to be a victim of this, right? Having gone through their own health ailments. The important thing that we really should extract here is that this is an argument in which we can't fully justify a right or wrong. Based on the theory presented, Brian Thompson is indeed a victim. But when judged in the totality of things, he becomes a representative of this company that seems to be doing evil things. So then you have the people, which in this form, the person, the killer, taking the law into their own hands. And this is symbolic of Capricorn being 12 places from Aquarius. What happens when the societal structure or the law doesn't work? Or rather, it's showing that sometimes radical action is needed to stimulate us out of a conditioned state. Okay? So as I was saying before, it's going to be really hard to get a clear cut, he's wrong and they're right. If you're looking objectively, you understand, which leads us to a bigger conversation is like, what happens when the underdog or the person who's been on the low end of a power struggle decides to fight back in a way that isn't lawful or normal? As I said before, we don't want to make this a good and a bad thing. What we really want to do is focus on the actions that we take from here. The reality is that this can possibly incite more scenarios in which people are taking the law into their own hands, or we collectively tap into that Capricorn energy of maturity that says this is a problem and we need to create a system or a structure that ensures that this doesn't occur. So it's really as simple as that. The media circus that is our, current landscape is going to milk this for all that they can and make it seem like the people and Luigi versus United, but rather it's just the catalyst for greater change. So I think that we should all accept that here. The next thing I will say with this scenario is that it plays right off of the presidential election in giving you a realistic understanding of what moves society at this current time. Presidential elections will always show you who is reflecting the values of the people at the time. Think about it. Bill Clinton was the president during the 1990s, which is seen as this exalted period in culture. And when you examine him as a president, his characteristics line up with that. Then there was George W. Bush, which was like, okay, that was so new. That was like, Clinton was so new. We need something more familiar and traditional. And then you have somebody who comes from a political family. But so mind you, that could have been seen as a way to suppress what was inevitably blooming. And then we get to 2008 and it's Obama, which segues us into this age of the people realistically. Personal feelings aside, Kamala Harris doesn't fit the value structure of the modern American as well as Donald Trump does. And I'm just speaking about this not about ideologies, but just literally what the people are reflecting. So bringing this back to my point here with Luigi Mangione and why he's popular is because the pulse of the people lies with those who are tapping into unconventionalness, those not afraid to color outside the lines. To this point, up into this period that we're entering in, we were taught that you have to color in between the lines. You have to fit into society. You have to be this way. And every time there's someone that comes along that does the opposite and they hold our attention, they influence us. And if you really look at the people speak towards that. They gravitate towards that. So I say that to say this. In the past, this scenario would have automatically been painted as this man killed this man for whatever reason. We're at a point in time where there's enough voices in which the people can really filter their perspective to believe or see the situation how they want to. We can choose to see this situation as one man killing another man, and it probably was for a personal vendetta. But if you choose to see this as a battle of the people versus a corporation, unfortunately, this CEO is just a casualty of war. In order to fix this, we should approach it like this is a battle and that the opposition kind of has one up here. And if we don't respond to this particular move, what's stopping them from doing the same thing in another vein? So a lot of food for thought. And